Welcome back to PRN Test Drive. I'm James, and this is the 2024 Range Rover Sport P550e Autobiography. And this version of the Range Rover Sport is actually a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which is the best thing I think about this new Range Rover Sport. Now, Nile covered the Range Rover Sport Autobiography at length over in Ontario, but since I had a different color and a different interior color, I thought it would be a great opportunity to take it here in Quebec, in Montreal, and just tell you what it's like to drive on the road. So before we hop inside and take you on a test drive, let's take a look at what's under the hood and also the battery that we have available to us. The engine is a 3-liter inline 6, and then we also have a 31.8 kilowatt hour usable plug-in hybrid battery. That's giving us 543 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque, and the battery is good for around 85 to 90 kilometers of range, which to me is absolutely excellent if you're doing a lot of city driving like myself. I've rarely touched the actual gas tank this week. If you have a level 2 charger at home, then it's even better, this Range Rover Sport deal, because you can just plug it in and you pretty much have a full battery. I just have a normal power outlet that this car came with, just the standard one that you find in your household. I plug it in, and at night I can get, in around like 7 to 8 hours of charging, I can almost get half the battery, which is still good enough to still stay on fully electric power the entire commute that I have. Now, it's no secret as well that this Range Rover Sport Autobiography is full of luxury features. You name it, it probably has it. It is just insane how packed this vehicle is. But of course, that's going to cost a pretty penny. In order for myself to afford one of these, I would have to refinance my entire house. Because the base price for the Range Rover Sport here that I've got is $141,550 Canadian. But if you add like the rear screens and every other package that you can throw at it that I've actually got on this vehicle, it actually comes out to $162,385 Canadian. That's insane. I'll never be able to afford that as long as I live, I don't think. With all the specs and numbers out of the way, let's get this thing on the road, take it for a test drive. All right, so on the road now, where it's just a wonderful place to be when you're in the Range Rover Sport. Let me tell you, first of all, this thing just looks really, really classy. That's the best way to describe it. It doesn't look like, I guess the Sport does kind of have like a more sleeker design, more aerodynamic kind of design. I also am fitted here with my Aero wheels. I like the fact that it says Range Rover on the brake calipers as well. It looks really nice. I am definitely turning heads because I think people just understand that Range Rovers are pretty expensive. For a Sport, I'm quite big. Like driving around, seeing other Range Rover Sports around me, I'm actually like on the bigger side of things when it comes to that. So it is cool. It kind of looks like a 3-row a little bit to me on the exterior, but because it does, we got a ton of trunk space, and also we have a ton of rear room space, which is really nice. This has been the vehicle that, like, you know, my wife and my baby have absolutely adored. You know, they like the look. The air suspension's really good. It's like, it's a really quick air suspension. If I want to hit off-road mode, I can do that in like almost 2 seconds. It's just right up and then right back down to the access mode. That makes it really easy to get inside. Now, couple that with the fact that this is a plug-in hybrid electric SUV, things just get 100 times better for this Range Rover. It makes me love it even more. Because it's so easy. Like, I don't have much battery left right now, so I am very much in the hybrid version, but I can tell it to save if I have battery that I want to use for later on in a trip. Say I know I'm going to do some city commuting, I don't want it to use the battery on the highway, I can do that. And with 80 kilometers this week living with it, I really haven't had to go on gas very often, unless for whatever reason I forget to plug it in, or I do like a longer trip and the battery's completely drained. I'm almost 100% through my week at this point, and I'm not even touching the full is still there. I'm not even half a tank through, not even close to it. I'm 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is phenomenal for an SUV of this size that can do all of the things that this can do. Now, I do have some rear wheel steering, which honestly took a while to get used to, and I wasn't even aware when I picked up the car that it had it, but I'm putting in minimal steering effort and getting almost maximum return in terms of turning, and it's really cool. It makes it so easy to maneuver. And also, I mean, I've got over 500 horsepower here, so let's give it some beams. Oh my God. And it's like, just like that, I'm doing highway speeds, And the thing is, you probably didn't hear it because the engine didn't make very much noise, because it did use a little bit of the electric power to get me going, number one. But also, that's just how the Range Rover behaves. Things just happen to you. I feel like I'm driving the car, I'm in control of everything, but yet I'm somehow still a passenger. It's so interesting. It's so comfortable, it feels like I'm floating. Like, it feels like I'm floating above. I'm not really even touching the road, because I drive over some craters here in Quebec. Let me tell you, our roads are absolutely horrible. But I don't feel a single crater, a single bump, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I drive most of the time in comfort mode. Right now I'm in dynamic mode, and still it feels like I'm simply just floating above the road without a care in the world. And it is just a weird feeling. It's one of the best, if not the best, ride quality I have ever experienced. And of course, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. Well over $150,000 for this one I'm driving. I've got a fridge in the center console. Okay, so if that doesn't tell you that it's money, I don't know what will. Because it says I got a fridge in the center console. I think it's cool. I've been using it. I've got a 6-month-old. I keep bottles cool in here. It's very convenient for me. You know, I don't need a microwave, but it would be nice. You know, I've got massaging seats. When I'm in the car for like an extended period of time, it will just simply turn the massage seats on, and I'll just be massaged. My passenger has massage seats, heated and ventilated seats for myself and the passenger and the rear passenger. It's tri-zone automatic climate control. We've also got a massive sunroof here, and if you look at my interior, Nile's was nice in the white. Mine, I would have to take mine with this nice kind of burgundy color. Nothing in here feels cheap. Nothing in here looks cheap. I don't think anything in here is cheap, considering the price. I love that they've continued, like the dash is a different color, and so is the steering wheel. I love it when manufacturers give us a colored steering wheel. It just adds to it. The stitching is like, there isn't a single stitch out of place. Nothing in here is done lazily. Everything is to the highest and most quality, and you feel it when you drive. Look at my headrest. It's like it feels like I'm just on a plane in first class. This is what first class driving feels like. I've even got this guy here, a little armrest for myself should I need it. It is as good to drive as to be driven in, and like I said before, it feels like I'm being driven in it even though I'm the one driving it. And you'll also notice that it's quite quiet compared to the Bronco that I showed you, that I also am taking a look at this week. That thing is loud on the interior and also pretty loud on the exterior. But then you hop into the Range Rover and it is just me, my voice, and when I'm not talking to a camera, the music, because I have a Meridian surround sound signature system in here that sounds really good. It's got a really good subwoofer. I'm able to configure stuff the way that I want it, and it just is really, really nice. And look, let's give it another rip. We are at highway speeds. Before I could even tell you that we were at highway speeds, we already were, and you didn't even know it happened. Braking just happens. Throttle and acceleration just happens. This isn't like a fun car to drive, it is a comfortable car to drive, and that is where I think the Range Rover is one of the best. Oh man, like even my little shift knob here is nice and covered in this nice little fabric. Like, there is nothing out of place. There is not a panel gap in sight. Everything is placed nicely. Man. I've got screens behind my seat, right? Wonderful. The only thing I wish is, like, you know, obviously I think now I had this complaint too, completely agree with the fact that we have built-in Wi-Fi in the car, and we should have some type of built-in app, at least like a Netflix or a YouTube, like at least one of the basic 3 that could connect to the screens via the Wi-Fi and be fine. Instead, you kind of have to put like an Apple TV, a Fire Stick, something small has to go into that center console in order to be able to use it properly. You can even plug in, like, say, like something like a PlayStation console, something like that on your long road trips. That's something I would do if I was sitting back there. And get this, you don't have to even disturb anybody else with your game noise. Each cup holder, or each side door, I found a nice little Range Rover, Land Rover headphones that you can connect to the infotainment system, to the screens in the back, and just have a nice time. One safety feature that I really did, this has all the safety features, 360 camera, rear cross traffic alert. It even has like a little logo where if I back up too close to a wall or too close to my garage door, it'll tell me at what point I can and cannot open my trunk should I need to by backing up that close to it. It has all these things that just tell me, like, just make my life so easy. The one thing that I've been turning off a lot is the lane keep assist. It's very aggressive, especially when like I'm on a back road here. It seems to just want to keep me dead center when I don't necessarily need to be. When I'm on the highway, it's really, really good. But when like you're on just like city roads, it's really jerky. It really yanks the steering wheel and it makes you kind of look stupid on the road because you're like doing this and it's like, okay, stop. So I usually will turn that off when I'm in the back roads and turn it back on while I'm on the highway because it's actually useful on the highway. But that's pretty much the only safety feature that I don't like. Everything else is super useful. Everything else is just flawless, easy to use, easy to drive. And I'm just like, I'm in awe of this. When I picked this up, I wasn't expecting like as much luxury as I thought. I thought maybe it would be a little bit overpriced. I thought maybe they wouldn't load it as much. And because it's a Range Rover, you're paying for the name, whatever, they don't really have to include that stuff, but they did. They really did. I don't feel like I'm missing very much here. Like, I have a digital rearview mirror, which is a nice touch. Don't need it. Honestly, wouldn't complain if it wasn't there because I have a baby, so I don't use it that much anymore. But look, seats recline. Even the headrests is electronically controlled. Like, I'm like, at first I'm trying to figure out how to use this car, as we do as reviewers. I like to go in blind, and I like to just, not read any manuals. I just go in as a normal user and try to figure it out. So I'm, looking for a headrest button because I'd like to adjust my headrest. Lo and behold, I find out it's in the infotainment screen, and that's electronically controlled too. And it's the same thing for the rear. The rear seats recline, everything. They didn't like nothing. Nothing is not thought of in here. It's so wonderful. And like the ambient lighting in here at night looks really good. It's just easy to drive. It's one of the easiest vehicles to drive ever. Look, you're not buying a Range Rover Sport. I know the sport's in the name, and it definitely can be sporty. You're not necessarily taking it to the track. You're just taking it on long road trips, or you're maybe driving clients in it because you're like a high-class chauffeur and this is their vehicle. But even if you do that, you're still having a great time because it's effortless to do absolutely everything and anything in this Range Rover Sport, and I love it. It's one of my favorite cars. It is my wife's favorite car. It replaces the Range Rover Defender in her eyes. She now wants this one. Wonderful for my wallet. I don't know if I can afford $170,000 for an SUV, but time will tell, right? We'll see where things go. So with that, I think I'll leave it there with the Range Rover Sport. Unfortunately, I'm gonna just enjoy the rest of my week with it. Nile already covered it extensively in like painstaking detail. He went over every single thing. He had a different color and different interior trim. So if you're seeing this video, go check that one out. You really want to get all the Range Rover Sport details you can from us, and I really had to check it out for myself after seeing him drive it. Make sure you turn on the bell notifications so you never miss a new video. Make sure you leave a like to let us know to keep going and you like what you see. And with that being said, I'll see you next week. See you in the next car. Take care.